Hey, my friend, and welcome to Aligned to Rise, the podcast for ambitious women who are ready to rise above their symptoms, release old limitations, and fully rise into their true power and potential. I'm your host, Alyssa Chavez, functional nutritionist, performance coach, and former endo and infertility warrior who knows what it's like to feel held back by your body and your beliefs. I've taken a journey of true healing from the inside out so that I can show up feeling great in my body, confident and unstoppable. And now I'm here to help you do the same. Through a blend of functional nutrition and deep mindset work, this show will empower you to reclaim your vitality, trust your intuition, and live unapologetically in your purpose. If you're ready to align your body, mind, and spirit so you can rise to your highest potential, you're in the right place. Let's rise, my friend. This show was created for educational purposes only and should not be used as a replacement for medical advice or treatment. Hey, my friend, and welcome back to the podcast. So, we were just recently talking about period pain. If you haven't listened to that episode yet, go ahead and head back to episode number 123, where we were talking about why period pain happens, root causes of period pain. So that's always a good one to go back and look at or listen to, especially if you have period pain. Today, what we're going to look at is what your period is actually telling you about your fertility. Because obviously, I think most of us are aware that your period has something to do with your fertility, because we all know if you got your period that month, you're not pregnant, right? Your period is a result of your egg that was released in ovulation was not fertilized, and so you had a period instead, and then you start the whole cycle over the next month. But what I want to talk about today is the fact that if your periods are painful, they're irregular, they're heavy, they're emotionally brutal or energy-wise brutal, your body is telling you something already about your fertility. Now, many women tend to separate their period health from their fertility. They'll think things like, I'll deal with my cycle later when I want a baby, or just thinking that getting pregnant is relatively easy. It's hard for me to not, I know it can be for many people. However, having had a nearly 9-year-long fertility journey, I just very much know that that's not always the case. But what I have learned, very much so, is that your period, your cycle as a whole, is your monthly fertility report, whether you're trying to get pregnant right now or not. And supporting healthy periods and healthy cycles is one of the most powerful fertility prep tools that there is. So I wanted to start off by sharing a little bit of my personal story and journey when it comes to period problems. So as I've talked about before on the podcast, I have endometriosis myself. And so my periods were extremely debilitatingly painful. And there was a lot that went on there. Not only were my periods really painful, but I also had really long cycles. It was very common that it was 40 plus days, but from one period until the next. And I had a lot of fear around my periods. I had a lot of disconnection from my body. I also had a lot of symptoms, all the PMS symptoms. I had a ton of spotting. I had all of the fatigue and mood swings and just clotting, and I already mentioned the period pain. What else am I missing? Heavy periods. Like just about every period problem you could imagine I had going on. And that's where I started my journey. And back in 2020, when I was doing IVF unsuccessfully, unfortunately, that's what my periods were looking like, even before being on all of the IVF medications and things like that. Whereas when I got pregnant naturally in 2025, what my periods looked like is that they were super regular. My periods got to the point where there was pretty much 29 or 30 days apart every single cycle. I was pretty stable with mood and energy. I had no pain with my periods. I had very predictable cycles. I felt safe in my body and my periods were so much smoother in general. I would maybe have a day of spotting right before my period started, but that was it. And during my period, I had less clotting. It wasn't as heavy. Just everything was much more how it should be when I ended up actually conceiving. Because previously, rewind back to that 2020 I was talking about, my cycle was absolutely something that I dreaded. And 2025, even previously to that, but 2025 is when I got pregnant, my cycle was no longer something I dreaded. In fact, it just became something that I trusted. I learned to really tune into my body. And I just think it really shows how fertility isn't a separate thing from your cycle health, your period health. It's really all very much connected. Because I fully believe I didn't just happen to get pregnant. I became somebody whose body felt safe and nourished and supported, really from the inside out. I've done a lot of work through my physical body as well as nervous system and mindset and emotional health, just so many avenues that I have explored to get myself to where I was with my periods and with my fertility. And that, my friend, is one I want to share with you today. So, first of all, let's talk about the fact that your period is a vital sign. In fact, there's actually a book called The Fifth Vital Sign by Lisa Hendrickson Jack, who I really love, by the way. She's a fertility awareness educator, amongst other things, and just is a fabulous resource. And she really breaks that down really well in her book. So I will link to that in the show notes if you'd like to check it out. The other book that I think is really awesome to check out that really relates to everything we're talking about today, and truthfully is a book that I think just every woman should own and have on her bookshelf, whether she wants to ever be concerned about fertility or not, is a book called Taking Charge of Your Fertility by Toni Weschler. I really love that book as well. It's a fabulous resource. And more than anything, it helps you to understand your cycles better and what your body is actually telling you and what you can learn by simply tracking symptoms in your body. It's super fascinating and one of the things that really got me started on my journey. So, interestingly, we all think it's pretty standard across the board to look at vital signs like your heart rate, your blood pressure, your temperature, that those are all signs of what's happening or not happening in your body. But the truth is that your menstrual health, your period health, your cycle is just as revealing as those other vital signs that are very standard to look at in any doctor's office, hospital, any sort of medical setting. Because your menstrual cycle reflects your hormone health, your ovulation, inflammation in your body, your blood sugar balance, your stress load, your gut and liver function. Maybe not directly for all of those things, but it is a reflection of how all of those things are functioning in your body. Because as we've talked about before on the podcast here, all of those things impact your menstrual cycle and your hormones and all of the things. Because as we talked about in episode number 123, all about period pain is not normal. It's common, but it's not normal. In fact, a normal, healthy period should be maybe slightly uncomfortable, but certainly never painful. And all we should really experience is maybe some minimal changes, like a little bit lower energy and mood. And by that, I mean a little, not these major swings that people experience. PMS is not just part of being a woman. Irregular cycles are not just random. These are all messages, not flaws. And they're all things that can be corrected, is the beautiful thing, just like I did in my own body and like I help so many of my clients with every day. So let's talk a little bit about how some of those common period symptoms actually reflect the health of your fertility. So, for example, those painful periods that we talked about can often reflect things like inflammation, prostaglandin imbalance, endometriosis on a deeper level, pelvic tension. And those same factors can interfere with things like implantation and ovulation. If you're experiencing PMS, you're having those major mood swings, anxiety, rage, breast tenderness, depression, any of the things that can come up with that. PMS is often tied to blood sugar instability, progesterone issues, nervous system dysregulation. And those same patterns, again, can disrupt ovulation and hormone signaling. If you're struggling with irregular cycles or missing periods, those can often reflect stress, undereating, gut dysfunction, thyroid patterns even. And if your body doesn't feel safe enough to cycle, it's not going to prioritize reproduction, right? Because reproduction, as much as it can become extremely important when you're really concerned about that, it's not vital to life. And your body's number one priority is to keep you alive, right? It's about those basic functions to make you stay alive on a day-to-day basis. So if your body doesn't feel safe enough, it feels like there's too much stress going on, it's not going to prioritize reproduction. If you're struggling with things like heavy bleeding or clotting, that can reflect estrogen detoxification issues, mineral depletion, inflammation, and those same imbalances affect egg quality, uterine environment, which can all affect your ability to conceive and for that little embryo to be able to implant itself safely and happily into the lining of your uterus. Because at the end of the day, whether you are mentally preparing for pregnancy or not, your body, from the time that you start your period as a young teen or whenever you started your period until you go into menopause, your body is always preparing for pregnancy or protecting you from it. Your cycle tells you which mode you're in. Gives you so much information on that front. Because the deeper truth is that fertility is a whole body experience. Fertility is not just about your ovaries and your uterus and your reproductive system. So often we get so focused on that we forget that there's a whole body that can impact those pieces, right? Your ovaries and your uterus do not just live in this bubble by themselves in your body. It's part of the bigger picture of your whole body and how all of the systems work together to support you as a whole human. Your fertility and your reproductive system and your cycles and your periods in general, all of that really depends on blood sugar regulation, on your gut health, on inflammation levels, on your nervous system safety, on your emotional load, your nutrient status, your liver detoxification pathways, and all of those show up first in your cycle. Your period is your body's monthly check-in. It's like your fertility dashboard. So, what does it mean to actually support a healthy period? Supporting your cycle means several things, quite a few different things. It means eating to stabilize blood sugar. It means reducing your inflammatory load on your body. It means healing your gut. It means regulating your stress and your nervous system. It means replenishing nutrients. It means listening instead of overriding your body. That, my friend, is the foundation for fertility. It's having that relationship with your body. It's connecting with your body and your cycle. It's a way to stop fighting and start collaborating with your body. And the more, for sure for me, the more that I understood that, the more that things really shifted. And I know that's been true for so many of my clients as well. Super interesting stuff. Now, there is so much more to learn about your periods, your cycles, what this all means. But this is really kind of the foundational pieces that I think is really important to understand if you are struggling with fertility. Right? Fertility is not just a little bubble all by itself. Fertility is, again, really a whole body approach. And the more that you understand that, the more that you're thinking of fertility from a holistic perspective, the happier you will be. Right? Because at the end of the day, too, your period is something you're going to live with for the vast majority of your life as a woman. And so if you can start to not just think of, but actually experience your period as not being a burden, not being broken, not betraying you, that your period is communicating with you, the more that you can enjoy that process, right? I would really encourage you, my friend, to stop normalizing suffering through your periods, to start seeing your cycle and your period as guidance, and to start to use your symptoms as information, not shame, not a problem. And this is really the root of the work that I guide women through. When we're talking, so I'm a functional nutritionist. And when you hear the word functional, that's really what that means, is that we're learning to work with the natural functions of your body and restore those natural functions of your body in a healthy way. I help people to decode symptoms, restore balance. Whether you want a baby now or later or never, a healthy cycle is really the foundation of a healthy body. So, I have a few things I wanted to share with you today that I think can really, really help you on your journey. The first one is a completely free resource called my Period Pain Playbook. And you can find the link for that in the show notes. And so this is especially for you if you experience, of course, period pain, which so many women do. But basically, that playbook is a resource to help you when in the moment you're experiencing that period pain and you need some relief and you're maybe just tired of having to rely on pain medications or it doesn't really help anyway. But of course, the end goal is to be able to support your body, to not have to lean on tools just to support your period pain on a month-to-month basis. However, I do recognize that we all need that support sometimes, and knowing what to do to support your body in the moment can be super powerful. And if you'd like to dig deeper and really look at what your cycle and your period is telling you and how to really support that from a root cause approach, that, my friend, is exactly what I'm going to be teaching during my upcoming group program called the Aligned Period Reset, which is going to be starting up on February 11th. The link is in the show notes. This is a 21-day, 3-week program where we're going to be really digging into that and how to really support your body from a root cause approach to have better, healthy periods, whether you have period pain, PMS, irregular cycles, heavy periods, clotting, all of those symptoms surrounding your periods. This program is the reset that you need to get yourself back on track. So there's going to be limited space available, but I would love for you to be a part of it. The link is in the show notes for both of those resources, so definitely be sure to check that out. And just remember, my friend, that when you heal your cycle, you're not just supporting your period, you're teaching your body how to feel safe enough to create life. And that is super powerful. All right, my friend, thanks so much for being here today, and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for tuning in to Aligned to Rise. If this episode spoke to you, take a moment to share it with a friend who needs this message too. And then don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. I'll see you next time, my friend. Let's rise together.